Listen-only mode.
Welcome to our webinar and our continuing series on career and self-improvement webinars. My name is Carrie Keller and I am the graduate assistant in the William Patterson University Alumni Office. Before I introduce our presenter, I'd like to go over how this webinar will work. First of all, you will be able to view the presentation on your computer screen. You will also be able to hear the presentation through your computer's audio system. Please feel free to ask questions by typing them in. We will monitor your questions and stop occasionally to answer all of them. Any questions not answered in today's webinar will be addressed after the webinar is completed, and all attendees will receive the questions and answers after the webinar is done. And now, I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Bob Weingartner is a William Patterson alumnus and the owner/founder of Wine5 Career Coaching, where he assists job seekers in achieving their professional career goals. Bob's mission is to provide the most effective, up-to-date professional career and job search coaching for his clients by giving them the tools they need to succeed. Prior to launching Wine5 Career Coaching, Bob spent over 15 years as a senior HR professional. After facing multiple transitions in his own personal career, he felt it was a natural fit to share the lessons he learned during the span of his HR career and has been a successful career coach ever since. Bob presented a webinar for WP a few months ago that was so popular, we decided to bring him back again. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bob Weingartner, presenting Job Search for the Mature Worker. Please act your age.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you for that introduction, and welcome everybody to this webinar. I'm hoping that you found the subject matter very interesting, and certainly the title, Job Search for the Mature Worker. You will find that many of the slides in the presentation are geared towards the mature worker, but at the same time, I think the presentation is neutralized by many different facets and strategies that will be appealing to a very large audience. So, without further ado, we have a lot of material to cover. I'm excited to be here. And certainly if you have any questions, please type them in. Questions, one, tell me that you're out there, and two, you know, it helps me understand what your needs are as a job seeker. So I wanted to give you a little bit more information about who I am. If you weren't on the last strategy session, we did go into some detail, but more than anything else, I wanted to let you know that in my career, in my job search, I have failed and succeeded. And what I mean by that is some of the challenges that you faced, I faced myself in terms of being in and out of the market, trying to get back in and finding what my niche and passion is. So to be real, you have to fail. And failing is an important part of life in terms of learning what the best we can do and learning from those opportunities. And the other thing, too, is before I went into coaching, is I met with several executive coaches that guided me in the direction to go forward. And they made it clear to me that do not go into coaching unless you have what I call bloody knuckles. And what does that mean? It begs me to walk in the shoes of my clients. So I become very real to them when I coach, because I understand. I've been there. I know what it's like to lose your job. I know what it's like for both a spouse and a husband to lose their jobs with 3 kids in college and worrying where is the next payment going to come from. So that is certainly what's leveled me and really is got me to start my own business, Wine5 Career Coaching. I've got a lot of insight, having worked in HR for over 15 years, so I know what it's like when your resume gets into the black hole. I know why you don't succeed in interviews, and certainly why it's so important to submit things like cover letters and get your networking opportunities up and running. So I have that insight, and I do share that readily. And the bottom line here is, you know, I am a mature worker myself, and we're going to define what that group really is. And I am very proud of that. And what I mean by that is, you know, I've got the wisdom highlights that go through my head, and I am very proud of those stripes that I've earned through my entire career. So this is the exciting piece. I'm really excited to move forward. So let's jump into the presentation and give you a little bit more. So what we're going to cover is some of the biggest challenges that you face. And I know there's a lot of them as a mature worker, what you face. So we're going to jump into those and address each of those. There's a ton of common feelings that we have as we go through job search. And those feelings are real, but there are stereotypes and perceptions that are out there that we do need to be aware of. And without a doubt, it's going to be very important to figure out how we maximize your strengths, because that is the most important part of job search, regardless of your age, okay, is the strengths that you possess, the passions that you have. And then we're going to give you some tips on very specific job search tools where age can show up and how you address them directly. So here's an icebreaker, and you know, generally, if this is an audience where I can see you, we can talk through it very quickly. But I want you to think for a second. You know, what is the one great benefit of being the age that you are at right now? So you know, we're not going to have call-ins on this, but right away, I'm probably thinking that you're speaking to your strengths in terms of your experience. All of the years of experiences that you have. You've gained knowledge. You're a subject matter expert. You can talk to people. You can make presentations. You can build teamwork. You gather intelligence. You understand the power of networking. This is the great benefits of being the age that you are right now. But my question to you is a little bit more basic. Have you really taken advantage of that fact in job search? Or how have you taken advantage of that in job search? Chances are you may not have used that to your strength and may have actually subdued some of those strengths in order to what you feel move ahead in job search. So that's just kind of an opening. And the reason why I go through that is because in coaching, it's kind of a simple saying, each of us is greater and wiser than we appear to be. So our appearance, our outward appearance, absolutely does not equal to the value that we provide in life or in job search for that matter. So, you know, this is more about trying to level yourself and understand that, you know, we are much stronger as we are in our own suit. So, you know, often in job search, you know, regardless of the inner strengths that we possess, it's very common, and the very common feelings are to worry, to stress out, and often that stress brings what I call the hidden, or it subdues the real me that's out there. And I think that's unfortunate, because that's the part that you need to bring out. That's what you need to stress more and more. So, you know, in life and where we're at right now, we only get to act this age once. So why not use that absolutely to your example, to your benefit? So these unique gifts that we have, that we've taken our entire life to build up, the strengths and the passions we have, in job search, we should be shouting them out loud, okay, and rejoice, enjoy, because they define who we truly are. So here's a short question exam, short one-question exam actually, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but I'm going to just kind of throw these up. So as a mature worker, I'm tired of reading which of the following information and about job search. So if you're in full job search mode, I'm sure you're out there reading tons of internet articles, particularly about how to move forward, maybe how to move forward as a mature worker. So 5 simple tips to overcome age discrimination. My goodness gracious, if we could overcome age discrimination with 5 simple tips, I think we'd all have the answers to move forward. How to beat the millennials at their game. Okay, so why would you want to do that? Why would you even want to beat them? You want to be yourself. Absolutely. 10 things recruiters hate about mature workers. They hate us? Okay, they should be loving us for what we brought to the market. How to appear younger and get the job you want. How does that make you feel? I need to appear younger? Okay. The 7 common mistakes job seekers over 50 make. We make mistakes? Everybody makes mistakes. They're learning opportunities. Or maybe it's all of the above. I'm hoping that you clicked off all of the above. These are actually web articles that are out there. So the point I'm trying to make here is if you look at those 5 different internet articles, there's tons of focus on the negative aspects of being a mature worker in job search. You know, the mistakes that we make, okay? And hence, the common feeling is to go on the defense. That's not true. I don't do that. That's not me. So that is the common feeling that we get. So what I say is, what is wrong with being the very best version of who we are? Okay? That's the hello. Think about that. That's what the market wants, the best version of who you are. So often on the athletic field, the best defense is a great offense. So I want you to think about this idea, and I will read this to you. A strong offensive action will preoccupy the opposition and ultimately hinder its ability to mount an opposing counterattack, leading to a strategic advantage. What is this speaking to? This is speaking to your strategy as a mature worker. You need to mount this defense because that is the best defense to that offense. So I want you to keep that in mind as you go through your job search, is you're going to preoccupy the opposition, that other person on the other side of the interview table, and you're going to make them melt with all the experience and great value that you bring to the market. So it's all about proclaiming your earned value in job search. That absolutely is the best offense. So here's a quick poll. How many of you have experienced age-related discrimination in the workplace or job search? Okay. Maybe most of you are raising your hands. If you haven't, where have you been? Okay. It is clear. It is real. It is happening. Some of us have felt it directly. Okay. Some of it was a little more subtle. Some of it was indirect. It is out there and it is alive. And it is not going away. Okay. So you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with it in the best way that you know possible. So here's a couple things. And if you're in job search, are you tired of hearing these silly things about, again, what the mature workforce should be doing? Okay? And I'm not going to read all these because you can. Okay? And how about the appearance and the hygiene issues? Specifically, you got to get yourself in shape. Okay? Not going there. Okay? Not going there about the hygiene stuff, but this stuff can be limiting for you. But you hear about this. I've seen tons of internet articles on hygiene. A little embarrassing, isn't it? And how about this one? You got to get that best interview suit, the one that's fitted. It's going to make you look younger. Enough is enough with this stuff. But it's all out there. You have to be more like the new old? Okay? When am I ever going to be like Paul McCartney or the boss? And are you going to swim hundreds of miles like Diane and I? I don't think so. But this is the stuff. And again, I'm only putting this out there to amuse you a little bit. But there are things that we do need to stop saying. So a couple of the phrases, the best things since sliced bread. I just need a job, one more job, to work 5 more years. I hear these kinds of things from job seekers. To work 5 more years. That solution worked in my day back in 1995. You know, if you start conversations with that, that's going to put you in a certain position, right? And here's the granddaddy of them all. This is my personal favorite, and I can say this because I'm from New Jersey, is I can't believe I still have to friggin' work. Okay? Enough is enough. So let's move on. I think you get the point. This is stuff that you're probably hearing about. that you know that you have to launch a job search. You know it's going to be a full-time job, and the competition is fierce. You face it all the time, okay? You're not getting callbacks. Silence is deafening, right? Can't make mistakes. You know if you don't follow up, you know what's going to happen, right? I can't believe how many people I still meet that continue to not engage with LinkedIn as the social media tool. Not the only job search tool, but the most important social media tool in recruiting, especially when 85 to 90% of recruiters are using that tool. And we know spray and pray resumes never work. Applying for every job on the internet, you dilute yourself, right, tremendously when you just spray and pray your resume everywhere. It doesn't work. Targeting is king, without a doubt. Set up 8 to 10 companies you want to work for. Focus all your energy on those companies. Getting to the hiring manager. I'm not saying forget about HR. You should network with those people, but who makes the hiring decision? Not HR. It's the hiring manager. Those are the folks you should be focusing all your attention on. I think you got the message. So this is stuff you probably know about. If not, then maybe there's a couple learning lessons here. But this is stuff, you know, that applies to all job seekers, and certainly continue to focus on it. So we're going to focus on why it's okay to be you. And here are some practical suggestions for strengthening your position as a candidate. So the mature worker is defined sometimes interchangeably with older worker. I don't particularly like that one, but the Department of Labor says age 55 plus generally falls into the category of a mature worker. But I would say probably 50 plus, and even today, probably well into the mid-40s. It seems that definition seems to be changing. And older workers are protected by law. Maybe someone out there knows what that law is, but it's called the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, okay? That's the granddaddy, okay? And what age does age discrimination, according to ADEA, start? 40. Age 40 is when the courts start hearing cases in the workplace related to age discrimination. So that's why my thinking is it's probably well down into the 40s when the mature worker actually is defined. So if anyone has experienced a reduction in workforce, you do know that names get put on a list. Companies have to defend those lists as to the reason why they've selected people for those lists. But I can tell you the folks that fall into the mature worker category are clinging for their dear lives at work in a lot of different ways. So not a good feeling, but it's certainly a necessary part of business reductions in workforce. So there's a couple of views that I want to talk about that are important to this topic of the mature worker. So there's a ton of common feelings that we may be thinking at any point in our lives, not necessarily just job search. And I'll pick off a few of them. I'm too old. They're going to want somebody younger. I'm too expensive. I'm past my prime. I'm just tired and burnt out of where I am today. But if these common feelings, okay, are real inside of us, and we begin to communicate verbally to others those feelings, what happens is this is where all of the stereotypes begin to pop up. From we become rigid in our ways, a little slower to learn concepts. Yes, we are expensive because we have lots of experience. Yeah, the energy may not be where it was 15, 20 years ago, and that we're overqualified for all the positions. So we have to be careful of those common feelings that we have and how we communicate verbally to our audiences in job search, because very quickly they can spell trouble for us, because those are the stereotypes that are out there. So There's a bunch of things that we're told to do in job search because we are mature workers that begs to beat us down. And I want to go through these a little bit. We're told to accommodate our audiences in a big way, right? And I understand why we're told to do that, but is there anybody out there that's not keeping up with their profession and industry? Have you checked in with your professional organization that represents you as a mature worker? Okay, you should be. You should be attending network meetings that surround your profession, that give you experience and keep you up to date. We're told to modify your resume, okay? Come on, make it look younger, right? So we limit the jobs, the length. Forget about the year graduating from college. And then if they ask for salary requirements, we're very vague, right? We become very vague. So this is the whole thing about taking those common feelings, the stereotypes that are out there, and continue to beat us down further and further. In the interviewing, we're told to work more like a younger audience. How can we explain we've worked with that younger audience? Okay? And talk about your great attendance record. Come on. Is that the most important part of the strengths that you bring to the table? Absolutely not. And our appearance, we're told to look peppy. What the heck is peppy? I have no idea. But at any rate, yeah, we're supposed to be peppy, energetic, dress younger. And somebody told me, why do you have your picture on LinkedIn? You're a mature worker. You're not supposed to do that. Well, it begs to ask the question, so what else are you hiding? Okay? What else are you hiding out there? Are you connecting with some of these? On the offer, right? We've given you our best offer. Consider it even if it doesn't feel right. No. Okay? No. That's not the way it works. Okay? Make sure that offer makes you feel right. So there's a lot of subduing going on, right? We know that. So, you know, we can continue to spawn these feelings and allow it to beat us down, the market. And in coaching, here's where the challenge lies. They're called limiting beliefs. Kind of simple, but it's important that we do talk about that. So a limiting belief is just something that you accept about yourself or about life. And you just conduct and carry yourself about that way. And we know that those limiting beliefs can limit you in a big way, particularly in job search. So you may say something after you get beat down often, I can't land a job in this market. Okay? After the struggles and the challenges and the stress and the frustrations that you felt after being out for many months, is that true? I can't land a job in this market. Or is that a limiting belief? Everyone lands in job search. You stay at it true, long, and hard enough, you will land. Limiting belief. So I would question and say, how true is that really? And challenge that belief in a big, big way. You know, the other thing that we say in coaching is pain is inevitable, but the suffering part is optional, okay? Job search pain is inevitable. You're going to feel it. Expect it, okay? But it doesn't mean we have to go off in silence and suffer, okay? That's where our network comes in, the resources, our friends, our family. Surround yourself with all of those great people because you need that group to be uplifted. So you have a choice. You're going to either accept those or you're going to reject them, all right? So I think I'm getting waved. Maybe there's a couple questions. So why don't we stop and take a few at this point?
Well, here's just one question. When you say a limiting belief is going to limit your, like you can't land a job in this market, what does that include? Maybe a job not in your field, if I'm phrasing this right. Let's say you want a VP job.
Right.
You can land a job, but maybe it's going to be.
Well, I'm a firm believer of you leveling yourself too and being real with your expectations. With limiting beliefs, if you truly believe, okay, that you can land a vice president job, okay, and you've got the skills and experience and background, you can, okay? That's not a limiting belief, okay? That's clearly something that you can attain with hard work and experience.
Okay. I guess I was just saying because like you could always get a job, but
Exactly.
what the job you want. So
Yeah.
you're basically saying limiting beliefs limit
the way we feel about and think about
what
ourselves.
you feel like you believe you should.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Was there another question I wanted to take, or are we good?
Good.
Okay, so we're good. So, yeah, the challenge is if these feelings show up in job search, it's definitely going to impact your ability. So we need to talk more about that. So here's the things that we should be working on. You know, in life often is we focus all of this attention on trying to fix our weaknesses. People are always working on something, right? We believe we have these inherent weaknesses. And it's true. They are out there. We do fall down. We make mistakes. You know, we pick ourselves up, and then we repeat the process again and again, right? So that can be a never-ending cycle for many people, is just continuing to fix our weaknesses, because we know that that's just a lifelong process. That will never, ever go away. But, you know, we also say, you know, to try to get to a level as we compare ourselves to others, that's another challenge, is I want to be like him. I want to be like her because she's awesome. And if I can get to that awesome stage, I'll be like that. That's not going to happen, right? Because it's impossible to be 100% awesome in everything that we do. So often in job search, we beat ourselves up again and again, right? We dig that hole and we crawl in it. Not a good place. Absolutely not a good place to be in. So what we want to do is we want to get away from working on our weaknesses, okay, as a major job search strategy, right? What we have to work on is improving what we already have, those strengths, those passions. Those are the God-given talents. Those are the strengths that we all have, right? What are they for you? You need to know what that is in job search. So that's the place that you need to focus all your attention on. So we talked about those scenarios. We know that they're real and they're associated with mature workers. But my challenge is to you is, aren't some of these stereotypes reflect people of all ages? My range of client goes from recent college graduates all the way up to the mature worker. I can tell you, I hear again and again from recent college graduates, I'm being discriminated against. What do you mean? How can you be discriminated against? You're not a mature worker. I can't land a job, okay? They say they want 0 to 2 years of experience. I have 0, or maybe I have an internship. I don't have 2 years. They're giving it to that person that's got more experience. When is somebody going to give me a change? So these stereotypes and scenarios pop up at all different ages, at all different places in job search, not just the mature worker. So you can buy into that notion, right? Often we go to that place that age is the only drawback. That's the conclusion often we draw from job search. I can't get that job because age, right? I've tried everything else, okay? I've got the best resume. I can dynamically interview. I've networked myself to death. I still can't get that job. It must be age, okay? But buying into that is just going to allow you to beat yourself down further and further. And here's the adage, is if you believe you are too old, then you are, okay? If you believe it, then you are. And it's going to continue to spawn those feelings again and again for yourself. But here's the option. Here's the option for you, is break free of those handcuffs, right? You've got to challenge the status quo, right? You've got to do that. You've got to break free because we know, you know, you offer a great more insight and wisdom. And that's what the strengths and the passion that you bring to the market is. You know, this whole thing about fear, it's a nasty habit. We know that. It can be paralyzing. Sometimes I wanted to just crawl under my covers, okay, and not get out of bed when I was in job search. But you want to know something? The way you address that is I can and I will, okay? I can and I will, because fear also motivates us. It keeps us moving forward and going in the direction that we need to. So as you start to gain your confidence, you're going to believe slowly that age is an advantage. And then you're going to begin to talk to Let me show you how and why it's an advantage, okay, for someone that's looking for an opportunity. So, you know, accepting who you are is very important, right? Being proud of what you've accomplished in your life. You've earned that seniority, all those years of experience. Why not use that to your strategic advantage? You know, we can't change our age. We are who we are at this point in our lives. But you really can impact your preparation, right, and your marketability for a new job. So regardless of your age, the preparation, the hard work, how you market still becomes critical, right, without changing your age, and often we get in the way of ourselves, right, and become our biggest handicap, right, and that's the challenge that we face. Is often it's not that job, it's not that hiring manager or that company, it's us that's in the way of ourselves, right? And it's all about your attitude. And your attitude, you probably heard this cliche, your attitude determines your latitude in life, right? Your attitude will determine your latitude. So I'm going to talk about some specific areas of focus that I see as a challenge for the mature worker. The number one that I see right out of the gate is technology. So are you really keeping up with your technology tools? Okay, you may have left your previous company. How are you keeping those skills current? Maybe you found out that it's necessary for me to brush up on those skills. There's lots of freebies available in job search resources, maybe at your one-stop shop, maybe at the state or the city level. Get those technology courses updated so that it's not a hindrance or an obstacle when you get out there and market your talents. The other thing, too, is, you know, just generally in learning, we either grow or die, and it's kind of that simple. We should be doing something every day that moves us out of our comfort zone, and that is the growth, right? That's the growth in job search. And then once you get that training and technology and updated your skills, you want to go back to your resume. You want to go to your network and say, hey, I've just been certified in, I've just taken this new course. And when you interview, you want to proclaim your new value that you bring to the market. And, you know, here's a couple examples, and I've seen this on a number of resumes, so this is real. I want you to think about the technology that you're updating yourself to. So, you know, these are a couple examples, but I actually have seen these on resumes within the industry. So, resumes, big one, real big one. So that's the big marketing and sales tool, right? In job search, you have an arsenal of job search tools around your belt, the resume being the biggest one. So you got 8 seconds. That's all you're getting. You may spend months preparing, revising your resume. That's about all you get in jobs to make an impression. So it's got to be powerful out of the gate, okay? It's got to have the right information, and certainly it's got to be focused on the job that you're applying to. Here's some of the current issues that I see is, and I do get a chance to read hundreds of resumes, and the best grade that I can give on most of them is probably a C- for most of them, okay? Why? Because they all look and sound the same, okay? You ever talk about branding yourself, about what makes you different? That's where you need to focus on. And I still see typos and grammatical errors in them. That will certainly get you disqualified or get your resume thrown out or discarded in the process. And they still contain a lot of what I call the blah, blah, blah stuff. What does that mean? You know, often I see job seekers, they take their job description from their last job and just edit, copy, and paste it into their resume. A resume is not a job description. It's not a list of tasks, okay? And that's how they often read. I did this, I did that. That's not what what companies want to see. They want to see a list of key business words, because you've got applicant tracking systems that are out there that are very robust, looking to match up the job ad keywords with the keywords that are in your resume. And if they're not present, chances are you'll probably come up with a lower score from those systems and not move forward in the process without any human intervention at all. So you've got to have your resume rich in what they call SAR statements. Situation, what is the situation? What action do you take? And what was the results of those actions? That makes for a very robust and dynamic resume. And absolutely customize those resumes for each job you apply to. And page length, it's probably one of the biggest questions I get. So what is the golden rule on the number of pages on a resume? Actually, the golden rule is there is no rule on page length. Okay? I mean, typically, college graduates can probably get by with a single page, but you do not want to truncate experience on page 3 that is applicable to the current job you're applying to. Okay? So whatever is the best job, whatever is the best description of the powerful you, if that takes 2 pages, that's great. Often technical resumes spill over onto page 3. If you have copyrights, you have patents, you have research that you've done, that may spill over into additional pages, and you can have addendums for that. So don't get hung up on, I got to get my resume to a single page or 2 pages and done. Get it to the level that is important to you. A couple more things on resumes. This whole thing about experience, it's certainly, as a mature worker, a prized position in strategy. But it doesn't mean you have to go back to the 80s with your resume. 12 to 15 years is usually sufficient unless, and maybe I should have capitalized the word unless, the previous experience beyond 12 or 15 years is applicable to the job that you're applying to right now. We have a question coming in.
So you don't need to put jobs previous to 15 years ago?
If it's not applicable to the current position you're applying to, remember I said that each resume should be customized to the job you're applying to, it should come off because that's the blah, blah, blah stuff. It's additional. I do not want to read it. It has nothing to do with the powerful you.
So if you're going for a VP of marketing position, and that your job 20 years ago was marketing assistant, it's not applicable?
That may not show. I would probably, it depends. And it depends on maybe where that marketing experience was. If it was at a large company, right, and that's where you're at right now, that may show that progression. But more often than not, the years and the jobs beyond 15 years, I always challenge my clients with the question, is it really necessary? Because a resume is a game in real estate, right? You have to fit the right amount of information on there. You don't want to put previous experience that really does not make to the powerful you. Okay, so dating yourself. Okay, that's another thing too. And this is something I really do want you to think about because this is the personal part about who you are. Is we often talk about the years of experience that we have, but again, out of the gate, you really don't have to say I possess 30 years of experience. Maybe significant experience would be sufficient. But the other question I get often is, should I put my graduation date from college on my resume? Okay, and the answer to that question is, it depends. Okay, it depends. If you're applying to a company that who has a culture of diversity, accepts people of all ages, okay, maybe a nonprofit, why would you not include your date of graduation on your resume? Okay, they're going to find out anyway. So this is a personal preference of yours, and you really have to decide if that makes sense. And the other thing is, do you lead your resume with a professional profile, right? Again, resumes are read from the top down, and that professional profile is maybe 3 or 4 or 5 lines with some keywords underneath that talk to the best of you. To the person reading that resume, it's the reason why they want to read on, is because you're connecting with that office, you've customized it to the job, and you've got keywords relevant to that job and that industry. Very powerful. Again, if you're getting 8 seconds, if your professional profile doesn't shout to the best of who you are and what you've accomplished, most often they will not read on. Most often they will not read on. So here's a couple tips in interviewing is, how about you arrive at the party recommended? And what I mean by that is you stand a much better chance during the interview process if they know, if they vetted out who you are already. Okay? What I mean by is, have you connected with that person? Have you networked with them before? Is anybody on the interview team that has recommended you before? So coming in recommended gives you a much better chance. Why? Because they know you. Okay? They feel comfortable about you. And we recommend people that we feel comfortable with. Here's the big challenge in interviewing. It's not all about you. Just like your resume is not all about you. But if you can keep the focus on how your value relates to their challenge, then it's a much better way of approaching the interviewing process. So understanding all of their challenges. So I want you to keep this in mind when you walk in the door and you're being interviewed by a 22-year-old HR rep for a screening interview. What do you think might be going through their mind as they greet you? Obviously, all of those stereotypes, right? Absolutely. Chances are, holy cow, I'm being interviewed by my father or my mother, okay? And from your point of view, I'm being interviewed by my daughter, okay? You've got to be thinking about these things. These are the things that run through the mind so that when things get said, you know the point of view. You know where it's coming from, okay? Then you're not going to respond negatively to it. You're going to talk to the powerful you. And that is your point of view. That is the powerful you on an interview. Regardless of where you are at in life, preparation is the key to a successful interview. Have you done all the research? Have you practiced those responses to the common questions asked? You've got to come in confident, right? You can't struggle with some of the common questions, such as, tell me about yourself, okay? You've got to have 2 or 3 accomplishment statements already prepared, because you're going to get that behavioral question, can you tell me about a time where you had a challenge and one of your team members was not responding in a way? You have to have a story prepared, right? And definitely have 3 to 4 questions that you're going to ask, okay? Saying, I have no questions, will surely get you counted out of the process, okay? You got to convince them what you can do for me. Think of any business like your business. Why would you hire somebody? Because you can do something for me. I'm hiring you because you can solve my problem. I've got a pain. I've got a pain point. Please take it away from me, okay? We're not driving enough revenue. Our profitability is poor. That's why that's how Office come to play. And definitely demonstrating that evidence through your age and experience. So the point I'm trying to make here is if you can master these tools in the ways that I have talked through, is you're going to be able to overcome any age bias that may come your way. Why? Because you're speaking to a point of strength during your interview. And regardless of your age, they can't go there. They won't go there. Okay? Look how powerful you are. So that's the confidence you need to come in with. Couple other things, and again, I'm not going to read all of these, is you definitely do not want to hold back on certain areas. Certainly your experience, how you can solve problems, your commitment to the goals of the company, you can get on a team and work with people, and more importantly, we know the importance of a great, genuine smile, okay? We smile, okay? And that's important, is to get that smile across. It means we're real. That means we're real people. And the other thing that we do very well is we recognize the #1 reason why candidates get higher. Okay, so it's kind of simple. Do we overlook this one? How about chemistry? Can we actually walk in and have a conversation? Can we build a rapport? That's how hiring happens, is you will fit in with my company's culture. And how do they determine that? Because we have a conversation. You are memorable. I can talk to you. You're the kind of person I would want on my team. That's chemistry, okay? That's not experience. That is chemistry. And having that during the interview is so important. And that chemistry is all about energy. That energy we bring in becomes very attractive to the other party. Appearance, we're not going to go into a lot of detail on appearance, but once you walk into that room, you get about 15 seconds to make an impression. The interviewer is going to look up, it's going to look down, it's going to look left and right, and that's it. Check in the box. The appearance, not an issue, no challenges, I'm moving on. So what are you going to do? You're going to show up as the very best version of who you are. I don't know what that is, okay? Maybe you need to ask someone else. Maybe before you leave for your interview, you're going to take a nice look in the mirror and say, this is the best version of me. And that's how you show up, not someone else, okay? That's how you show up. Because everything is looking good, feeling confident, and that confidence will spawn more confidence. Anybody ever do a phone screen in their pajamas before? I can tell you it's not something you want to do. Why? Because you're relaxed. Chances are you probably have your feet up on a table, your voice is probably a little groggy. The other party knows it, okay? Just like when you get up in the morning for job search, dress yourself, look good, feel good, so you start your day. The same thing. No pajamas in interviewing, right? And finally, our interview, always be present. Stay in the moment. Stay with your interview. Don't let your mind wander, okay? We get into this mode of overanalyzing, comparing ourselves to others. We try to project the outcome. That's counterintuitive, right? Stay in the moment of where you're at on the interview. This way you can focus on giving the best answer, right? Often we write that performance review before it's even over. Uh-oh, I tanked on that question. Forget about this job. All right, if that's the way you're going to think, you did tank on that job, okay? You got to get past it. You got to get past it and move on. Stay with the here and the now. And the other thing I want to mention is never, ever assume the interviewer has training on interviewing techniques. Most don't. Most don't. So when you get into that situation, you'll know it. Oh, my gosh, where did that question come from, okay? Why are they not talking about my experience and strengths, about my accomplishments? You're going to get in that interview. Many may have been there already. And what are you going to do? You're going to drive that interview yourself. You're not going to leave that office until you tell them what are your accomplishments, okay? They're going to listen to you, and you're going to do the drive. You're going to be the driver. A couple more things here on networking. My opinion is I think it's abused in job search today. Absolutely, networking is critical to finding a job. But when hasn't networking been important in life? It's always been there. So don't let your contacts down. Continue to keep in touch with them. Build your network. That's life, is having a very strong network. And obviously the main reason is recruiters are certainly using LinkedIn, some of the best networking tools out there. But over 80% of jobs are found via networking today, because it's this whole thing about a known candidate. I know him. I met him. You know, somebody's introduced her to me. I have her resume. It's been with me for a long time. I often talk about this thing what I call the wine cellars. Every recruiter's got them. Their finest wines are tucked in a little folder next to their desk, and those wines get pulled out. That's your resume. The best resumes get pulled out at the right timing when they have an opening and say, get Bob in here. I've had his resume. I know who he is. I have a job now. I need to interview him for this role. That's how hiring happens. So pursuing those decision makers is much better approach as is chasing companies and hiring managers rather than chasing jobs out on the big boards. So I don't want you to forget your life experience. That's the stuff that's counting. That's the stuff that's counting. And in networking, you've got to leverage all those connections that you've had to find those unpublished positions that are out there somewhere. So networking is not asking for someone for a job. Okay, I'm often surprised at how many people come up to me at network meetings and say, Bob, I know you have a background in HR. Do you know who's hiring right now? You cannot delegate your responsibility to finding a job to anyone, and networking is just as important. It's more about building a relationship, right? That's what it is. So you want to select appropriate network meetings during your weekly job search, and you want to network with a purpose. So have a strategy in terms of where you go to meet new people that can help you leverage your job search. So the other thing I want to talk about is elevator speeches. As I meet people and they want to introduce themselves, I know elevator speeches are huge in job search, but don't forget it's nothing more than just a memorable conversation that you're having with someone. Okay? Actually, some of them are quite boring, but make it unique to you. And networking is much more about what happens outside the meeting, right? As you're connecting with people, it's not just about getting business cards, linking up with people, although some of that can help, but networking is clearly about going outside the meeting, finding something in common with someone, having coffee, sharing, helping. What can I do to help you, right? Because in networking, the key is whatever you give comes back to you tenfold. You get it again and again. But you got to give to get, and that's not job search. That's not networking. That's in life, right? And showing gratitude. Thank everyone every step of the way for all the things that they give you. You can't do this alone, okay? So that's why it's important is that we do thank people for providing their time and maybe just being there for you. So we have some final thoughts here. Maybe we got a few more questions, okay?
We only have 5 minutes.
You do matter in this journey, okay? You absolutely do matter. And I don't want you to think that age is going to go away as a factor. It's certainly not going to change soon, but it definitely is an issue that you as a job seeker must overcome. So I want you to reevaluate your progress. If it's not working, go back into those lists of jobs that you applied for, the progress that you've made. Go back and make a change, right? If something's not working, change it up. And don't settle. I see a lot of settling, and I understand and I get sometimes for financial reasons, people do settle. I need to get a job. Things are running out for me. I'm running out of time. But you may be a lot closer to the job that you really want, right? So don't settle. Stay focused. And absolutely maximize your use of LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, get there. Password, that's all you need, and an email address. Build your profile. Make connections with people that can help you, and do your best to get to at least to 100 connections, because that's when the power of LinkedIn begins. Definitely your age is an asset, so use it to your advantages in the ways that we discuss. Often I found that pushing myself out of my comfort zone put me in a place to meet new people. So in terms of networking, pick a place that you can never see yourself going to, and then make time to get there. Chances are there's probably something in there at that meeting for you, a mover and a shaker, someone that can truly help you, and that's happened to me more often than not. And celebrate every success that you make, the progress, all right? Tell everybody about the progress that you're making. Let your experience work for you, not against you. And the value, that's critical. You bring a lot of value to the market, and the right organization will recognize that. And if you bump into those employees, and you will bump into those employees, you have bumped into those employees who don't respect your status, you just move on. You just move on, right? Because chances are that's not the place you really want to work. Is that where you want to plant your feet? Probably not. So this is my famous Rocky pictogram, and I want you to think about this. If you saw his last movie, I think this was clearly Rocky. Life is not about how hard you hit. It's really about how hard you can get hit and keep moving, right? Because you're going to get hit. Get hit a lot in job search, but just keep moving forward. So I'm going to end and say, please don't give up the battle. Why? Because you may be a lot closer than you think. And I'll leave you with this one. Don't let the bastards get you down, because they're out there. They're all over the place, right? And if you let them grab you and take hold of you, okay, then all these issues of age are going to come upon you. So it absolutely is okay to act your age. My name is Bob Weingartner. Please take the time to connect with me. I'd be open to anyone that wants to connect on LinkedIn. Just please, please, please tell me how you met me, okay? So is there any, I think we have a few more minutes left. Is there any questions that have come up?
I want to ask you a question, Bob. So my friend's dad was recently laid off, and so of course, I'm in my 20s, so he's probably in his 50s, let's say, and he has been having trouble finding a job, and he decided that he's going to go back to school. What do you think it's ever too late to go back to school? Do you think, there's value in some of those programs, and what do you think about that?
I think training at any point in our life is good. Certainly, you can appreciate somebody that has made that decision. What I would tell that person to do is talk to a few others about the career that he will embark on after he gets that training, right? You don't want to spend a lot of money, right? College, get another degree is very expensive. And just to add a degree or, or a master's or whatever that to your resume does not necessarily guarantee it will do anything for you. I would speak to people that are in the place that he wants to go and talk about the relevance of that journey he's going to embark on. And if that makes sense to that person, go for it. Absolutely. Go for it. It's never too late to get retrained and retooled and re-engineer yourself for the market.
Thank you. All right, well, it looks like that's it. We'd like to thank all of you for logging in today and joining Bob. And, of course, we'd like to thank Bob for coming back and sharing his knowledge with us. And we will see you very soon at another one of our webinar sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.